All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the webinar. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Alexis Moore, and I am an Associate Governmental Program Analyst here at CalVet under the Minorities and Underrepresented Division. I've proudly served in this role for almost a year, and I'm honored to be your host for today's event. We have an amazing lineup of speakers who will be sharing valuable information and resources to support our veteran and military connected communities. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Secretary of California Department of Veteran Affairs, Lindsay Sin, who will be providing our opening remarks. So please welcome Secretary Lindsay Sin.
Thank you, Alexis. I appreciate the opening and the introduction. I know some of you may still be joining us, but this session is also recorded, so you'll get a chance to go back and look at it in the future as well. If you're with us today, then welcome on behalf of the California Department of Veterans Affairs and on behalf of our community partners that help us with the Pathway to Citizenship program, as well as our divisions for Minority and Underrepresented Affairs and our Veteran Services Division, who organize and host this webinar and this series of webinars. Welcome, and to all of our veterans and our family members of our veterans in particular. We're just really happy that you could join us, and thank you so much for being here. Today, you're going to get some great information about the resources available to you, not only in your journey as you look at becoming a U.S. citizen by virtue of your military service or your family member's military service, but additionally, all of the other benefits and resources that are a result of your military service that you have deserved or that you deserve and that you have earned. And then, of course, you're going to hear more about the Pathway to Citizenship program and what resources are available to you from our partners. Really excited to be working for this webinar with Legal Aid of San Diego. Thank you so much for being here. And just excited that you all get a chance to hear more education and information about this program. So I do want to give some introductory remarks, just so you understand kind of the context of people who have served in the military who are pursuing U.S. citizenship by virtue of that service. Throughout our nation's history, individuals from around the globe have served in the United States military. Driven by a commitment to protect and defend democracy, generations of immigrants have helped safeguard the nation's security, prosperity, and range of freedoms that exist in America. For them, among the many positive outcomes that result from military service is the opportunity to become an American citizen. We're here today to acknowledge and celebrate your time in service and to fully support you on your path to U.S. citizenship. This workshop marks the 22nd such event that CalTEP has hosted since 2018. In recent years, we've assisted more than 800 veterans and their families across California in taking an important next step after active duty, becoming naturalized citizens. CalVet's efforts are reflected in the national data as well. Over the past 5 years, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services has naturalized more than 52,000 former service members. That included roughly 16,000 in 2024, which was up 34% from the year in 2023, from the previous year. Many of the naturalized citizens in that time frame represent a youth movement, with 50% between the ages of 22 and 30 years old. In fact, the median age of all service members naturalized since 2020 is 27 years old, including 17% who were 21 at the time and 5% who were over 40. So among our younger service members, pursuing citizenship is top of their list. Nearly 60% of them served in the Army and 20% served in the Navy. As a Navy veteran, I hope we can see those Navy percentages go up just a little bit. Men accounted for 73% of our new service member citizenry, with the percentage of women slightly increasing since 2020 as well. So those are impressive numbers, and they represent impressive people, just like you. They represent people who decided to commit their lives to the active military service, which is not an easy thing to do, and yet now have the opportunity to fully become citizens of our country. So we are deeply grateful for your belief in this nation and for your military service. Today, you and your family members are taking another significant step, and we are deeply committed to helping you do that. I also want to acknowledge that we are in some scary times right now. Things are happening regarding immigration in our state and nationwide, and it's left people unsettled. It's left people feeling unsafe and threatened at times. But I hope you know that CalVet is here to reaffirm our support of you and our support of you on this journey, and that regardless of your citizenship status now and into the future, we are here to support any military service member and their family members who have served our great nation. You have served, which means you have earned and deserve the benefits to which you're entitled, and our department will always be here to help assist you with that. So with that, I hope you are able to get great information and resources today during our webinar. And please reach out and contact our department should you need something in the future or have more questions about your benefits here in California. And we're grateful that you got to join us today, and I look forward to hearing more about our great webinar. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Alexis and to our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Sin, for your thoughtful remarks and for your continued leadership and support of CalVet's mission. Before we dive into our presentations, just a few reminders. Please stay muted while presenters are speaking to minimize background noise. There will also be an opportunity given for Q&A at the end of the session, but you are welcome to leave your questions in the chat at any time. Our staff analyst, Ty Pacheco, will be monitoring the chat and assisting with any Q&A. We'd like to extend a special thank you to our partners joining us today from the California Transition Assistance Program, CalTAP, and the Legal Aid Society of San Diego. They'll be sharing important insights and resources with you shortly. And most importantly, as Secretary Sin said, thank you for your service and for being here, whether you are active duty, a reservist, a veteran, a family member, or someone who has served. Your presence and engagement makes events like this impactful and meaningful. Let's begin with our first speaker, Sean Campbell, our training coordinator with California Transition Assistance Program. Please welcome Sean Campbell.
Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. My name is Sean Campbell, and I work with the CalTAP team, the California Transition Assistance Program. And our role out here is just to inform and connect veterans of all the different eras of the different benefits and programs that are out there for them to enjoy. And I'll just wait a second for our slide presentation to come up. Excellent. And today is July 9th, 2025. And during this conversation about Veterans Pathway to Citizenship, you see the overview, the welcome, and without any further ado, we'll get to the CalVet overview. Hey, look at that. I appreciate it. Thank you. So this is our Veterans Journey Map. And what it shows you is it's a snapshot of different moments that matter throughout your journey from the service separation and throughout your journeys from military service. And then as we enter post-living, retirement, and aging. And these are just different checkpoints that we acknowledge that because at CalTAP and at the California Department of Veteran Affairs, we want to walk with you through each of those steps. And we want just that affirmation that we're there to help you out and support you as you reach each of these different milestones, whether you're at step 7, looking at retirement, or step 8, you're answering those questions about aging. We're just here to work with you and help you navigate through all those different checkpoints. This is just a great physical representation so you can see how that veteran journey map goes. Next slide, please. This right here is a list of different departments that we work with. The federal VA, which everyone's pretty familiar with. And then each state has their own Department of Veteran Affairs. And for California, because we have so many counties, we have 58 counties, they're all beautiful and out there working together with the different federal and state programs. Each county's got their own county veteran service office. And then as you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see the different service providers that are out there, such as DAV, Swords to Plowshares, VPAN, VFW. There's just a lot of different civilian organizations that help us reach those different checkpoints throughout. Next slide, please. As I said before, CalTAP, we're here to really just connect veterans to all their earned federal and state benefits. And here at the Transition Assistance Program, we want to make sure that you have that support and assistance. So whether you're calling the 1-800 number and my teammates or myself are answering the phones, or you're looking through our website and navigating through the 5 different pathways, because the website's an awesome tool to get you that 24/7 access to all the information and benefits and videos. You can see here, we just list some of the different pathways, whether you're a service provider and looking for some more information on how to effectively connect with the veteran community. If you are looking for employment, education, or maybe your dream is to start your own business and you've got some questions about entrepreneurship, we've got a pathway there for you to explore and really just find out the different programs and benefits. Next slide, please. This is our veteran resource book. Right now, we're on the 8th edition with the 9th edition to come out pretty soon. We always recommend that you download a copy of this because it's just an excellent tool to help you navigate through all the benefits that are out there and look at all the different programs that are available to you. In addition, on the first couple of pages of the books, you'll see contact information. And that's for, again, for the different people in the building here that are all just really trying to network with you and make sure that you get access to all of those programs and benefits. We want to make sure that you're not only respected for your service, but you're also connected to the different benefits that are out there and that those benefits remain protected by the state of California. Next slide, please. How can I use CalTAP online? It's a great question. So let me go into that. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. And as I said before, it's the actual URL is calvet.ca.gov. And as you can see from our landing page, it just lets you navigate to so many different options, whether you're looking into questions about purchasing a home loan, you're just looking for some additional advocacy, maybe you're trying to file a claim and figure out where's the nearest county veteran service office towards me. And if you look at the bottom, you can see it's highlighted where you can actually download a PDF copy of our Veterans Resource Guide, or you can find the county veteran service office that's closest to you. As I said before, 58 counties, California is a big, beautiful place, and some of those counties have several different office locations. So we just want to find the one that's most convenient for you and your needs. Next slide, please. This is our landing page here at CalTAP, and again, it just lets you navigate by using the different tools to see which pathway you want to explore first. And a really cool feature that we have at the bottom is if you want to request outreach, you can use that icon down there and just let me and my teammates know that you want someone to come out and really speak to the veteran group that you're working with. Or if you just need a more instant, immediate information, you can request a response to some of your questions as well. Whether you're using the phone number or using this tool, we're definitely happy to help you out. And as you can see by the highlighted circle in the upper left-hand corner, the core curriculum pathway, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, just some a general overview of some of the different benefits that are out there for you. And if you look to the right, on the upper right-hand side, you can actually register with My CalVet and just keep connected with us. So that way you get the updates and latest information and really tailor some of the information and benefits to your needs. Next slide, please. Under the core curriculum, you can see that it talks about the introduction, goes into understanding resilience, claims and compensation, and then specifically module 5 is California benefits. So let's navigate through that one. And if you could go to the next slide. By activating that icon, it just really helps you explore what are my California benefits, and let's talk about those a little bit. Next slide, please. One of the more exciting ones that a lot of people are really interested to hear is the college tuition fee waiver for the dependents of veterans. If the veteran has a disability rating of from the VA, whether it's 100% or in some cases you may even have a 0% rating, it just opens up that eligibility for the dependents of the veteran to enjoy going to California colleges and having the tuition waived. So the eligibility for this is for the community colleges, the California state universities, and the universities of California. We always want to make sure people get their applications into the County Veteran Service Office for the area which they live in. And the cool thing is it just really saves veterans and their families millions of dollars every year and opens the opportunity for our children that we may not have had. And it's something that California wants to make sure that you explore and your family is able to use. Next slide, please. California Veteran DMV programs. You can see from the list here that there's a few different programs from the Department of Motor Vehicles, including having the veteran designation added to your driver's license. This is something that you've earned and we want to make sure that you get it. It just makes it a little bit easier for you to enjoy a lot of the benefits that you may have from local outlets or stores or even employers without having to present your DD-214. If you have a disability that's mobility related and it's at 100%, you may be eligible to have the registration for your vehicle, for one of your vehicles waived from the DMV. And additionally, DMV's got an honoring veterans license plate program with a wide variety of different iconography and emblems for you to display on your vehicle. Just some cool things for you to enjoy and explore from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Next slide, please. California outdoor benefits. As you can see here from the list, there's a actual state parks pass. A lot of people are familiar with the federal parks pass, where you can explore all the different federal parks, but California also has a state parks pass that you may be eligible for. If you have a disability rating of 50% or higher, it just allows you to apply for that state parks pass, and it gives you no cost use for a lot of the basic park systems. California has over 270 different parks throughout the state, lots of places for you to explore and enjoy, lots of great outdoor activities. If you're someone who's into hunting and fishing, you can also apply for a reduced hunting and fishing license if you have that eligibility. Generally speaking, the state of California is looking for you to have a disability rating of 50% or higher, and then you can apply for that reduced cost fishing or hunting license. In addition to that, California does have free hunting and fishing days. We always recommend that you go to the state's website and find out exactly what those days are so you can enjoy those benefits for yourself and your family. Next slide, please. California Veterans Tax Programs. So if you're a veteran who has a disability rating of 100%, you may be eligible for a property tax reduction. And this is something that's specific to each county. And again, as I said earlier, it's a lot of different counties. So you want to make sure that you speak directly with your county assessor's office if you have that eligibility of 100% disability rating, and find out exactly what the property tax reduction is going to be for your county. Also, there's opportunities for waivers of municipal, cities, county, and state business license fees. Again, these kind of vary, so we always recommend that you speak directly with the taxing or fee agency to see what your eligibility is for those. Next slide, please. Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program. This is an excellent opportunity for veterans who have a disability rating of 10% or higher, who own a business, and they have that 51% ownership. And you can see some of the little qualifications in the different boxes here. But really what it does is it gives you this opportunity to do business directly with the state. And sometimes doing business with the state can start off as being a little bit confusing if you don't understand the best ways to navigate through it. So the Department of Government Services created a 3-part webinar series that's excellent, that'll walk you step by step through the process. And then in our department as well, we have the Disabled Veteran Business Team, and that team will help you and your business navigate through the program so you can enjoy all the different benefits that you've earned when you're dealing business directly with the state of California. Next slide, please. CalVet Home Loans. The whole second floor of our building is the home loans team, and they're just there to make sure that you get that dream of home ownership. There are a lot of different opportunities for people to explore in the state of California, and exploring the dream of home ownership is probably one of the most dynamic ones out there. This team is there to just walk with you through the entire process. Because they're state employees and they're veteran focused, they're going to make sure that you get the best of needs that you have. And as you can see from some of the checkpoints here, that there's a lot of different options. If you have a disability rating of 10% or higher, there's also an opportunity for you to be eligible to have some of the funding fees waived. And the fact that they do so much for our veteran community and for veterans who are purchasing homes in the state of California. Absolutely amazing team. Definitely recommend that you look into it. It gives you an opportunity to take your VA federal benefits and your state of California veteran benefits and combine those together and just maximize your purchasing power and ability to get that home loan. Next slide, please. CalVet has a women's veterans division, and their role is really that support, the advocacy and outreach for our sisters, our mothers, and our daughters who are all veterans. They do a phenomenal job of just making sure that women veterans out there, there's so many different programs that they run. I wouldn't even know where to start. Definitely recommend that you sign up for their roster and get some more information on exactly what they do and how they'll help you navigate through some of the different opportunities and programs that they have. Next slide, please. This is just a snapshot of their landing page. You can see on the upper right-hand corner where resources, sign up for the roster, and some of the different events that they're putting on. Again, a phenomenal team, and they all do so much for our women veterans. It's just amazing. Next slide, please. CalVet Minority and Underrepresented Veterans Division. They're putting on this webinar today. And when we're talking about the underrepresented veterans in our community, it's just phenomenal how veterans can be. It's phenomenal the amount of work that they do. It's phenomenal the amount of work that they do. I was with the team in Eureka last month, and the amount of outreach that they do to find those veterans that are underserviced and making sure that their needs get met, I can't say enough about the great things and the programs they put out there. The roster here will help you sign up for some more information about exactly their programs and a lot of the other events that they have going on. Definitely recommend that you take that extra moment to sign up and just enjoy and explore a lot of the outreach and events. Next slide, please. Here you can see their landing page and just, again, a small snapshot of all the things that they do, reaching out to the veterans out there. Next slide, please. CalVet Homes for Long-Term Care. Throughout the state of California, there are 8 veteran homes that really work on helping our veterans who are running into challenges. And one of the things that we're all going to encounter is that we're all going to have that conversation about aging. And these long-term care homes, just really great places for you to be in a veteran-themed community. They're throughout the state, Chula Vista, they're West Los Angeles, Lancaster. They offer different levels of care, whether it's going to be independent living or you need skilled nursing care, or you're just looking for residential care. It's awesome opportunity for veterans to just be in that veteran themed community and have some place where they can go and be with other veterans. It's just next slide, please. Again, this is a map of some of the different locations: Redding, Fresno, Ventura. Next slide, please. This just talks about some of the admissions requirements for them, whether it's significant disability, 55 years or older, service in the military, honorable discharge. It just gives you the full list. And of course, you can always go to the website and explore these to get more details. Next slide, please. This just talks about the cost of residential care. They're looking at 47.5% of your income in some cases, and then it just shows some other benchmarks and what they would charge based on your income. Next slide, please. And then this goes into just how do you contact them, how do you apply for admission, the different locations, and their specific phone numbers. And then if you've got questions on this, you can always contact me, and I can help you navigate through this as well, or you can call our 1-800 number, and we can help you as well. Next slide. CalVet cemeteries. The state of California has 4 different cemeteries, one of which is still in the process of being built. But these are just places where veterans can have that conversation about their legacy. The state of California has federal cemeteries, but these are the state cemeteries that are specific just to as California. It just really maximizes your opportunities to have that final resting place. And some of the amazing things is just having that perpetual care and that memorialization of your legacy as a veteran. The one in Yountville specifically is for the people who are staying at the Yountville home, but the ones in Central Coast and Northern California, and then the one being built in Southern California right now. Next slide, please. As I said before, there's some federal cemeteries: Bakersfield, Miramar, Riverside, Sacramento, and San Joaquin. These are the federal ones to have that legacy of yours memorialized as a veteran. Next slide, please. This just lists off some of the different services that you may be eligible for: care of the gravesite, headstone marker, military honors ceremony. We get a lot of phone calls regarding burial benefits and questions about how to the process get started. There is a pre-burial benefits package that if you have you're ready to have that conversation, that we're happy to get you some information on so you can get it started. Next slide, please. CalTAP continued support options. Whenever you have the conversations with us, we always ask that you use a non-DOD or a non-work email address, because we just want to be able to continue that conversation with you as you continue to progress. Register for My CalVet, something we always recommend that you do. And then, of course, having that opportunity to attend our webinars, a lot of different webinars that we put on. We want to make sure that we have the ability to just share information about different programs, benefits, or needs that we see veterans are having, and try to answer those conversations for you. Next slide, please. This just lists a couple of the upcoming events that we had. I see these dates have already passed, but you know what? The discharge and upgrades ones was a great one to get some information on. I would just encourage you to check out our constant contact page and see the ones that are coming up. I think that you'll find that we have a lot of great upcoming workshops and webinars for the month of July. Next slide, please. And this is my contact information. I'm happy to answer whatever questions that you may have. So by all means, if you have some follow-up questions about some of the benefits or information after this event, please feel free to contact me. And again, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak for a few minutes about some of the different California programs that we have and some of the things that we do here at the California Department of Veterans Affairs, specifically with the CalTAP team. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean, for sharing an overview of what we do here at CalVet to meet our mission. Continuing with our presentations, next we are honored to introduce Isabel Duarte, Esquire, Interim Managing Attorney for the Immigration Department at Legal Aid Society of San Diego. Please join me in welcoming Isabel Duarte.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I did put my video on. I don't see myself, but I'm sure y'all can see me somewhere. All right, I hope everyone's having a great Wednesday morning. We're going to get into military naturalization, fun stuff. And I said a little bit sarcastically, just because as all immigration law the laws regarding military naturalization are a bit obscure. So I've tried to break it down just to provide it in the most simplest of terms as possible today. Next slide, please. All right, so we have our lawyerly disclaimer here that we always give. This information is not specific legal advice to your situation, and it does not present an attorney-client relationship. I am not able to respond to case-specific questions. If you do have questions specific to your case, be sure to consult with an immigration attorney or a Department of Justice accredited representative. Immigration law is one of the areas of laws that a single situation can turn on a single fact. So you can't base your situation off maybe your friends or your cousins or somebody you heard. You could have a very similar situation from somebody or with somebody, but one single fact can actually make a different outcome for you as for them. So it's one of those areas of laws where you're always going to want to get a consultation and see how it's going to apply to your specific facts in your case. Next slide, please. All right, who is Legal Aid? Legal Aid Society of San Diego. We are the largest nonprofit firm in San Diego. We are committed to providing the free legal services to qualifying individuals who reside in San Diego County. Each individual does need to reside in San Diego County for our direct services, at least in the immigration department. And there are other qualifications, and anybody can call into the intake line that will be at the end of these slides and see if they qualify for our services for at least a consultation or additional services. Next slide, please. These are just some other services that Legal Aid does offer. We actually have 14 departments. They all didn't fit onto the single slide. They're on the website. We did put some of the more popular departments on this slide and the free legal clinics that operate during certain times and certain days. It's all on the website that people can walk into and receive free legal assistance in these other areas as well. Next slide, please. All right, Immigration Department, what do we do? The cases listed here are not an exhaustive list. We do additional services in addition to the ones that are listed here. These are just some of the more common applications that will help with naturalization applications, seeing if someone qualifies for naturalization, helping them through the process. Citizenship applications, sometimes people will have claims to citizenship. Maybe their parents naturalized and they're still minors, or that happened when they were a minor, so they might be actually filing a citizenship application. We are able to often help with those. Applying for, in addition to renewal and replacement of green cards, we do help people apply for green cards, the legal permanent resident cards, and renewing those green cards and replacement of lost green cards. We also commonly help victims of crime, abuse, of trafficking, U visas for victims of crimes, T visas for victims of trafficking, VAWA for victims of abuse and cruelty for instance, by their citizen or legal permanent resident spouses, waivers, educational presentations, as we are doing today. And this is a bit of an overview of how someone might qualify for our services. It's not an exhaustive list, but the one requirement that does apply is that someone needs to be income qualified and 200% under the federal, 200% or under of the federal poverty guidelines, and must live in San Diego County, and these other factors might attach. So it's just something that if you're not sure about, we always say just call into the intake line, since each situation can be different, but the income qualifications and the San Diego County qualifications are almost always going to apply. Next slide, please. Okay, so before even getting into military naturalization, we always like to say, well, check to make sure you're not a citizen first before applying for naturalization, because sometimes people can be a citizen and they won't know they're a citizen. That's actually happened to us before. We've had somebody come to Legal Aid and say, I'm a green card holder, I want to apply for naturalization. Okay, great. We did the consultation, we asked a lot of questions, and we started gathering records to review the background to make sure everything's okay. And then we said, hey, wait a minute, your mother's actually a citizen, and she actually became one while you were still a minor, and you already had this green card. It looks like you might actually have you might actually be a citizen already, and you have been for the last 30 years. Immigration won't tell a person that. It's not something that they affirmatively will send anything out to you saying, hey, you're a citizen, you need to apply for citizenship. I believe the law says it's actually on the burden of the applicant to prove that they qualify and submit the proper forms. So they just let this person keep renewing their green card, but all along they were actually a citizen. And so we're in the process of helping them become a citizen. So that's just something to look out for. If one of your parents was a US citizen when you were born, even if you were born in another country, if one of your parents became a US citizen while you were still a minor, anything like that applies. You want to be asking or having a consultation first and seeing whether or not you might actually be a citizen before you submit a naturalization application. Because if USCIS thinks you might be a citizen, they might actually deny that application and say, hey, you filed the wrong form. Go back and file the N600 instead of the N400 is what might happen. All right, next slide, please. General naturalization for civilians. Okay, so this is what people who are seeking to naturalize to become citizens after having their green card normally. I'm going to give an overview of the general requirements for those people, for civilians, and whether or not you want to apply as a civilian or a veteran is going to be really dependent on your situation. So this is some good things to know. Generally, the person must be at least 18 years and older. They must be a legal permanent resident and having resided in the United States for the past 5 years preceding the filing of the naturalization application. They must have resided in the United States as a legal permanent resident for the past 5 years. Of those 5 years, generally must show that you were physically inside the United States for at least 30 months out of those past 5 years. And USCIS needs to have jurisdiction over your application, meaning where you're living, you're supposed to have lived there for at least 3 months before you file your application. So if you move from San Diego to Texas and then you want to file an application the next day, it's going to actually go to a different location than you would have filed if, say, you were living in San Diego. So you'd actually need to wait the 3 months if you're a civilian until the local office has jurisdiction over your application. Okay. And most applicants have to have been a legal permanent resident for at least 5 years, but there are some exceptions. If you received your green card through marriage and your spouse is a citizen, then it's 3 years. Same thing for VAWA applicants. Next slide, please. Okay, there's some more requirements. Okay, they are going to be looking at good moral character for civilians for a minimum the past 5 years prior to the filing of your application. They are able to look, and they often do, at your history beyond the 5 years. There are certain things that could cause people to become disqualified for citizenship or possibly even lose their green card. So these days, when people are coming to us and not saying, I've had my green card for almost 5 years now, or beyond the 5 years, I want to go ahead and apply for my citizenship, we're asking them all the questions. We have to get all in their business because USCIS is going to fingerprint them and also pull all their records and get all in their business, which is why an attorney will do that as well. We want to be able to see what potentially USCIS will see before even submitting a naturalization application, because they take a really hard look at your background while this is ongoing. Okay, there's a long list, and depending on what, say if you have a certain arrest or specifically conviction, if you have certain convictions, some of them can be what's called deportable convictions that might recommend people, this actually could cause you to lose your green card. We don't recommend you file for naturalization because then USCIS, immigration is going to flag it and maybe even try to take your green card away. So every now and then we'll have that conversation with somebody. But that's why we ask all these questions and look at all these things, because there are just those things that could potentially put somebody's immigration status at risk, and they're not going to want to pursue it at all. They'll also be checking that you didn't abandon your legal permanent resident status, that you left the United States for maybe 2 years and intended to never come back and then changed your mind. And so, I do want to come back. Well, there actually might be, an abandonment situation going on there. And they're not going to let you naturalize, and potentially your green card could even be at risk. So we'll be checking for those kinds of things. Okay. And civilians in general must pay a fee. Currently, it's $760 to send in the paper application, $710 if you file it online. They do allow for a reduced fee. kind of a sliding scale now, which is nice based on income. Okay, so if it's a certain, I believe if it's up to 400% of the poverty level, then you don't have to pay the full fee. You could pay the 380 instead, as long as you can submit maybe your taxes and W-2 proving that you qualify for that. Or if you're 100 and it depends if you're military or non-military. And I'm trying to remember if it's 150 or 100. It's something to that effect. Don't quote me on that. If you have your income under those amounts, then you could actually apply for a fee waiver. Say if you're receiving food stamps or some other type of mean tested benefit, you may be able to send in a letter with a fee waiver form and get the general fee waived completely depending on your income. Next slide, please. And more requirements continued because that's the nature of naturalization. You may have already heard of the English and civics tests that are required. The English test is not like a high school English test that you may have taken in high school where you have to pass grammar and that sort of thing. It's just they're looking to see if you speak a basic level of English, a third grade level, we often refer it to. Basically, you need to be able to get through the interview in English and be able to speak a basic sentence in English and write a basic sentence in English, something to the effect. They may ask you to write something like, the sky is blue or the ball is red, things like that. So it's a basic level of English, and being able to get through the interview in English is what they're looking for. And to also pass the civics test. The civics test is 100 civics questions that are listed on the USCIS website. There's a lot of information out there, YouTube and other resources where you can get flashcards and there's free questions posted on the website. You can just print them, memorize those answers. Out of the 100 questions, USCIS will randomly pull 10, okay? And then they'll ask 6. If you get 6 correct, that's all you need to do is get those 6 correct out of those 100. They'll stop asking. If you miss one, they'll keep asking after, up to 10. If you keep missing them, they'll give you one more opportunity to reschedule, study, and take the test again. So you will be able to do it again within, I believe it's 60 days after. Okay. You must generally pass the test, both civilians and military, veterans and active duty, unless you qualify for an exemption. Okay. There's exemptions to the English language if you don't speak the English language, if you are at least 50 years old and have had your green card and resided in the United States with your green card for the past 20 years, or 55 years old and have been resided in the United States for the past 15 years, or 65 years old and have been residing as a green card holder for the past 20 years in the United States, then you may not have to, you don't have to take the English. And if you're 65 years or older and have been in the United States for the past 20 years, you also get to take a shorter version of the civics test too. You only need to memorize maybe, I think it's 20 questions, and out of those 20, they'll ask for the 6. There's also a disability waiver. If somebody has a medical disability and they absolutely cannot learn the English, or maybe they speak English, but for some reason, maybe they've had some sort of trauma, some sort of disability, maybe during combat or similar. There's not specific disabilities that qualify. It just needs to be a disability that does not allow somebody to be able to learn English or to be able to learn the civics questions. And if your doctor is able to sign the N648 form and say they absolutely cannot learn English or the civics, and these are the reasons why, you can file that with your application and get a waiver of the English or the civics or both. It used to be that you can take these waivers to the interview. Now, as of a few weeks ago, USCIS is actually requiring people to submit their N648 waivers at the time of filing the application. So that's a little bit of a new update. Okay. And you must agree to adhere to the principles of the U.S. Constitution, and you must take an oath to the United States to be able to naturalize. And again, this is for civilians, general population. Next slide, please. All right, naturalization for veterans. All right, so naturalization for both veterans and active duty, it all kind of turns, you might hear people refer to INA 328, INA 329. It all kind of turns on whether or not you served during peacetime or during hostilities. Okay, that's the big what kind of laws are going to apply to me? What kind of things am I going to be able to not have to do, or benefits in this scenario? It's all going to depend whether you served or are serving during peacetime or during hostilities. The immigration USCIS, they define veterans as being at least 6 months separated from service. Okay. And then the designated periods of hostilities are listed below. We are still in a period of hostilities since September 11th, 2001. The memo signed by George W. Bush has not been rescinded. And that is a good thing for somebody who wants to apply either active duty or as a veteran, because more benefits attach if you have served during hostilities that we'll get into in just a little bit. But as of September 11th, 2001, that memo is still in, that executive order, is still in place. And we are in a period of hostilities. If you served during one of these other times, say from 1990, through one of the times that are not listed here, a gap that is not listed here, then you should definitely speak with a qualified, an experienced immigration attorney who has experience in military naturalization. My understanding, it's a little bit harder for people who have served during peacetime right now to be able to apply for naturalization. Next slide, please. All right. So if you've served during hostilities, say you served during the past 24 years at some point, or are serving right now, which is a period of hostility, there's no minimum age to naturalize. So these are the benefits that attach, right? It used to be that like for civilians, somebody had to be at least 18. There's no minimum age. Okay. But for civilians, you've always had to be a legal permanent resident for at least the 5 years or the 3 years that we talked about a little bit earlier, right? But there's this exception that's in the statute, and that USCIS does recognize that sometimes a non-citizen who's physically present in the United States or the outlying possessions at the time of enlistment might have actually been serving, and it could be by mistake. Apparently, this sometimes does happen. Maybe somebody was adopted by US citizens and the paperwork was never completed correctly. And so maybe they enlisted as a citizen, and it turns out they actually weren't, at least not in the eyes of the immigration department. Or sometimes people might have a birth certificate, like maybe they lived in a border country, like El Paso or San Diego, a country really close to the US-Mexico border, and they have a birth certificate and they believe they were a citizen, their whole life. These are actually scenarios that have happened to people. They believe they're a citizen their whole life, and then they submit all their paperwork, they submit the birth certificate, USCIS sees the birth certificate, and they flag it and say this is actually a fraudulent birth certificate that was created by a midwife for somebody who was actually born in Mexico. But a midwife or somebody created a fraudulent birth certificate, and so this person was actually born in the United States. That there's actually some people that has happened to, but they believe they're a citizen their whole life. They enlisted in the military as a citizen, and immigration is just catching it, at this stage. So this is why we have this exception here. And there were some other people that were allowed into the military to enlist in the military. I believe around 2009, there were certain DACA recipients and similar people on some other visas. If they had certain language skills that the military was looking for during that time, they were allowed to enlist as well. So this is why we have this exception here, where that you usually have to be a legal permanent resident, but if you serve during hostilities or are serving during hostilities and it turns out you're not one, you may still be able to become a citizen under this provision. Okay. Other great things that don't attach: no continuous residence requirement. That's having to live in the United States for the past 5 years. Maybe you were abroad. That's not going to matter if you are a veteran who served during hostilities or active duty as well. No physical presence requirement. You don't have to show you were living inside the United States for at least those 30 months out of those 5 years. The good moral character, they're only going to be looking hard at the 1 year preceding the application instead of 5 years. And no jurisdiction requirement. Okay, you can move from San Diego to Texas or Texas to San Diego and file your application the next day if you're filing as a veteran who served under hostility time periods, and there's no jurisdiction requirement. And the great thing that attaches for all veterans and active duty is no fee for the application. You do not have to pay that $760 fee. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. All right, you must still pass the English and civics test. Okay, unless you're able to qualify for one of those exemptions. And once passed, you'll still need to take the oath. Okay, you will need to submit your application with proof that you're a veteran and were discharged honorably. On the DD form 214, my understanding is USCIS, they're very strict about that. They want that form DD 214, certificate of release or honorable discharge from active duty. Okay, and they want it for each period of service. Next slide, please. Veterans who served during peacetime, if you happen to be a veteran who served during a time that was not listed on the prior slide, you're going to want to just be aware that not all of those exceptions will apply to you. There is that 18 years age requirement. Absolutely must be a legal permanent resident. One of those exceptions, if it turns out you were not, or were some other had some other type of status when you were allowed to enlist in the military, that exception will not apply. 5 years of continuous residence, you will have to show. The 30 months out of those 5 years being inside the United States, you'll have to show. Okay, so it's not as generous as it is for those who have served or are serving during hostilities, but you do get the fee waived as well. Okay, so that's good. Next slide, please. All right, active duty. Just like with veterans, it's a big deal, or not a big deal, but it matters whether you served during periods of hostilities or during periods of peacetime. Okay, but remember, we're still in a period of hostility right now. So if you are serving right now, these things are attaching to you right now. Okay, it means you are, so active duty to immigration means you are currently serving or are within 6 months of honorable discharge. Okay, they do give you that little bit of grace period after separation from the military, but only a 6-month grace period to be considered active duty, at least for immigration purposes. Now, I do want to make a correction to this slide, as I was taking a deep dive yesterday and looking at some updated materials. The Immigrant Legal Resource Center has actually just published updated naturalization and citizenship handbook that I was taking a deep dive in yesterday, especially in the military naturalization portions. This portion here, having been honorably serving for at least 180 consecutive days. Okay, that was something that was passed by the Trump administration, I believe in 2017. There actually was litigation, it's called SAMA, SAMMA litigation about this. And it turns out that they may actually won that litigation. And so this actually won't apply. It may be any time of honorable service, current service. So if you're currently active duty military, take this piece with a grain of salt and know that there is some litigation called the SAMA litigation that actually may have halted this. And that's a good thing. Okay, so no minimum age requirement, just like with veterans who have served during hostilities. Usually must be a legal permanent resident, but that exception will still apply if it turns out you were not a permanent resident or were allowed to enlist in the military. Now, when it comes to enlisting, and if it was an honest mistake, immigration generally won't hold that against you. But if someone new and fraudulently maybe enlisted in the military, and it turns out that they did that with fraudulent papers, enlisted, and immigration caught it, they may deny an application anyway, based on good moral character, lack of good moral character. So that's definitely something to be aware of and to speak with the immigration attorney about that. Okay. But there's also no continuous residence requirement, no physical presence requirement, no jurisdiction requirement. Also, they will be looking at the 1 year of good moral character. Okay. Instead of the 5 years. And just like with the veterans, there will be no fee for you having to submit that application. The other requirements still apply, passing the English and civics test, unless you qualify for one of those exemptions. Now, here is my understanding is where it can get a little bit tricky sometimes for service members, is that you do need to submit your application with Form N426 certification that you're serving honorably. And it needs to be signed by a certifying officer with 06 or GS15 or higher. At a webinar I attended recently with a very experienced attorney who has a lot of experience in military naturalization, she was saying that they really want the 06 and will often reject it without. Okay. So if you're active duty military and you would like to apply for naturalization as active duty military, this is something to definitely speak with an experienced immigration attorney about, just to make sure all your ducks in a row and all the forms have everything that they should have to make USCIS happy. Okay. Next slide, please. Peacetime, just like with veterans, it's a little bit different. This won't apply right now for anybody serving, but if it happens, maybe they rescind the memo and now everybody's serving during peacetime. Not sure what the odds of that are, but if it happens to be, it's just like veterans who have served during peacetime. Not as much exemptions will be, not as much things will be waived. There's still the 18-year-old requirement, must be a legal permanent resident. There should be an longer honorable service that you have to show, but may have been waived or may have been done away with that SAMA litigation. So that's something to look into with an immigration attorney. Having to show the 5 years of good moral character instead of the 1. And but there are no physical presence, residence, or jurisdiction requirements, and of course, no fee. And that's great that whether you served served during hostilities or not served during hostilities, whether you're active duty during hostilities or not during hostilities, they're still going to waive that fee for everybody. So that's still a great thing, because the fee just keeps getting, every few years they raise it. As you can see, it's currently $760, and as you file it online or qualify for a fee waiver. But if you're applying as a veteran or active duty, you're not going to ever have to pay that fee, at least as of today. That's what the law says. So that's a great thing. Next slide, please. Should you apply as a civilian or active duty military service member? Depending on the situation, and this is where we say, you heard me repeat it several times, get a consultation with an immigration attorney who's experienced in this area, because what the law, what the policies say and how it kind of plays out, and what people who have experience in this area will see might be a little bit different. Things can it's a bureaucracy. Trying to get the proper form signed might be difficult. The N-426 might be difficult. There isn't any clear procedures depending on where you might be based, is what I'm hearing on some of these webinars from attorneys who have a lot more experience in this area. And so that might be difficult to get. And also say you're not a green card holder and there's certain background checks you have to pass, and people sometimes were never able to pass those, or they're still trying to get, those background check screenings and before they can get that form signed. So there's the bureaucratic things like that may cause delays. We've seen that more and more since 2017, when the administration at the time made things a bit more difficult by putting in place a bit more hoops for people to have to jump through to be able to utilize military naturalization, unfortunately. And the numbers of people who were applying for and receiving approvals of military naturalization did drop significantly by the thousands in 2017 and the years after. They were back up again last year. I think it was something like 24,000 service members, veterans or service members, were able to successfully apply and receive naturalization through the military avenues. But we expect those numbers to drop again. Now with the new incoming administration, that tends to be a little bit more hostile towards immigration policies. And that's just the reality, at least for the immigration world. But whether or not it's going to be beneficial, it's something, again, to check with an immigration attorney. It could be that it might be better for you to apply as a civilian before enlisting in the military. Or if you're a veteran, you can weigh the pros and cons and say, am I able to get my honorable discharge certificate? Am I able to show all these things and get I can get the fee waived if I'm able to do that? Should I just go ahead and apply as a veteran, or apply as a civilian? It's going to be up to your situation and the paperwork that you're able to obtain. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and these are just a couple other benefits, related benefits I wanted to mention. If you are applying as a military service member or a veteran, okay, they're supposed to be, if you're an active duty service military member, they are supposed to process your application more expeditiously than civilians, okay? That often, sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. They're not consistent. but sometimes it does. So it's worth noting. You do have your own service line. Okay, everybody who, most people who are applying with applications, sending in applications to USCIS, they have a customer service line. I don't know if anyone here has ever called it, but sometimes you can wait for hours and hours. And then sometimes you just end up leaving a voicemail and they'll call you back at a date and time if they don't tell you when. It could be 3 days later at 7 a.m., on a Saturday, which has happened to some attorneys. And so it's not the best. It's not a great um, customer service line, but service members and veterans have their own customer service line, which I hear they actually answer the phone. So that's a great thing to have a customer service line where a live person will actually answer the phone. Um, at least that's what my colleague tells me the last time she called it for a service member, that they actually did answer the phone. And she was like, great, I'm going to get some, help. And the person on the phone was helpful. So that's a valuable thing. You also have your own service email to be able to email and do inquiries on your applications there. And that's listed there. There are other possible benefits for family members. Okay. Say you have family members and you're stationed abroad, then there may be some sort of expedited processing of their naturalization applications if they qualify to apply for naturalization, and your immediate family members are abroad with you, and they're in the process of applying. There may be a way to expedite those applications. Okay, and then there's also surviving spouses, children's, and parents' benefits. Okay, if an active duty U.S. citizen member died in combat, for instance, then they may be able to petition for papers for themselves based on an I-360. Okay, so those are benefits that may be available to them if they don't have papers and the military member passed away in combat. They maybe still be able to apply based on an I-360 and the military service member who passed away in combat. Posthumous citizenship, that's also something worth noting. If a service member, maybe they were a legal permanent resident and they otherwise qualified for citizenship, but they died, they died in combat, they never got to apply for themselves, then the family member can actually apply within 2 years of the service member's death, can apply for posthumous citizenship for the active duty service member. And if that's approved, then the service member will be recognized as having been a citizen on the day that he or she died. Okay, next slide, please. This is just some general information, how to contact legal aid, 1-877 legal aid. We have 3 locations that you can also walk into during business hours and open an intake. If any of the services on our website you think could be useful to you, feel free to do that. Feel free to call on in and walk into one of our locations. And next slide, please. And that's a wrap. We'd like to thank all our veterans and active duty service members for your service. And let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, Isabel, we do have a couple questions. I'm going to go ahead and read those off. Can my father still be able to apply for parole in place even if he got deported while I am in the service?
So as a general matter and off the top of my head, and remember, we're not supposed to answer case-specific questions. What I remember about that is it's a discretionary benefit, and I have seen people get denied when there's an order of removal. So it's a maybe whether they can apply, but it's looking like maybe not based on what I know about that. But in this situation, I definitely would do a consult, given that we see people get denied for parole in place, even when they have an order of removal. If they've already been removed, it's looking like the odds are probably not that great for that situation, unfortunately. But I would still do a consultation to see what, if anything, can be done.
Awesome, thank you. We also have a question from Kim. Well, 3 questions. On average, how long does it take for newlyweds to get status updates on their citizenship enrollment status? Once you submit your parole in place, does the green card immediately come for the newlywed, or about how long is that process? And I'm only currently engaged to my fiance, but should I start putting their information into the DEAR system? Where does that happen after we are married? Will that help with expediting the process? We plan on getting legally married this month.
Yeah, this is another one. You'll have me repeat this again, that you're definitely going to want to get a consultation to this specific situation. Um, so when you say citizenship enrollment status, it sounds like maybe there might be something in citizenship. Does it depend on being newlywed or not being newlywed? Okay. Um, I'm not sure if this person is applying for a green card, maybe for their spouse or vice versa. How long does basically status updates take once an application is submitted to USCIS? USCIS is all over their place in their processing times. They do have processing times listed on their websites, which are usually incorrect. So they're inconsistent. When someone applies for citizenship, say a civilian, what we've seen since last year is on average, it's been about 6 months or less on average, but some applications for whatever reason can take more. The longest application we've seen is a couple of years if there's some issues, for instance. So let's see here. Once you submit your parole in place, does the agreed card. So parole in place is basically just it cures the situation for somebody who's entered the United States without papers. Say you're applying for your spouse and your spouse was brought as a baby by their parent. They were sort of smuggled in or they were brought in without papers, what's called EWI, entered without inspection. So, and you want to apply for them, they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to adjust their status in the United States because they don't have a legal entry. Or this could apply to somebody's parent as well. Maybe you're a citizen member or a military member who's 21 years old and is enlisted in the military, and the same scenario applies to your parent. They came in without papers, but they otherwise qualify. If they had that legal entry, they would qualify. That's just something funky that the immigration law says they had to have come legally for them to be able to receive their green card in the United States. Okay. So the parole in place will actually cure that part of the application if qualified and approved, and if they get approved parole in place, then it'll give them what's called a legal entry. It won't cure other things. Say if there's a removal order, they might get denied if there's a removal order, or say they have other maybe arrest or convictions that might disqualify them. Parole in place won't cure that. So you're definitely going to want to get a full consultation for you and whoever you're applying for, um, based on that. And then I don't know where the question went. There was something
It's
about deers.
they're only
Okay.
currently engaged to their fiance, but should they start putting their information into the DEAR system, what does that where does that happen after we are married? Will that help in expediting the process? We plan on getting legally married this month.
Okay. I'm not sure what the deer system is. If I don't know if anyone else on the
Uh,
panel.
DEARS
Mhm.
is a military system for putting in all of your paperwork, kind of like an HR system. It's where we update all their medical records, all their paperwork on their family and everything.
Okay. So I'm not sure. I think somebody else might be able to answer that better. Um, since I'm not familiar with that system, when they might need to start inputting that information into deers, I'm not
To my
sure I can answer
knowledge,
that. Yeah.
having worked in human
Mhm.
resources with the California National Guard, it would be best for them to put in that information as soon as possible. Um, but you can't really do that until you have the marriage certificate and everything else. It will help expedite the process after you get that, but you won't be able to do anything until you have the paperwork finalized.
Okay. And for immigration purposes, immigration doesn't, at least to my knowledge, doesn't depend on the deer system or retrieve information from there that I'm aware of. If anyone's had a different experience, they can chime on in. But the application and paperwork is submitted in a separate process, either by paper or online to USCIS for many applications. So it's a separate process than deers.
Um, is there a way we can help out our in-laws? They didn't serve in the military. I did. Just wondering if you provide this additional support for others.
So it's all just going to depend on whether they qualify for somebody to be able to submit papers for them. That, possibly if they have a child who's a US citizen over 21, then it's a maybe, but there'll be other things that they might need in their background. They may need, they may need legal entry, or they may have to apply for parole in place if they qualify for that. So we'd have to screen both the person who's applying for them and the person who the in-laws who are considered the beneficiaries. Both have to be screened to see if there's a legal way for them to immigrate. Based on this little bit of information, it's not enough. It would be basically 2 consultations to see if there's a way for them to immigrate.
Mhm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Will it affect my process if I was arrested but not charged while on active duty, but got honorably discharged?
So for naturalization, they look at everything, and they do want to know about arrest, the application, even if, military, not military, the application itself asks everybody, civilians, veterans, active duty, have you ever been arrested? If so, what happened? And then you have to explain it. And they also fingerprint you, and it may pop up on fingerprints. So whether or not it'll disqualify you, it's hard, I'd have to see the actual conviction records and do the research and look at the charts to see, okay, is this conviction, if there was a conviction, something that disqualifies people. But it will affect your application in the way that it has to be disclosed and the outcome has to be disclosed. And they'll be able to see it anyway. So you don't want to check the box no, but then submit your application and that's going to pop up on your fingerprint. So you do want to disclose those things. And you also want to talk to an attorney before you even apply to see if it's something you want immigration to know about. Okay, so definitely do a consultation before applying for your citizenship in this scenario. Mhm.
Mhm. Thank you. Will having an expired green card be a problem when applying for citizenship?
Yeah, on the website, they have listed what to do in this scenario. So if you're applying for citizenship and your green card is about to expire, if you hurry up and get the application in before it expires, then they send you a paper that gives you like an automatic extension. I believe it's for 2 years. If your green card already expired, they may want you to renew it before. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, they may want you to renew it before you submit for naturalization. I'm trying to find the answer here, but I don't want to keep everybody waiting. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, it says if you didn't do that, you generally have to apply to renew. Um, so it does affect. It does affect, and you'll want to talk to an attorney about what you should do before applying.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
This one goes back to our question on how long does it take for newlyweds to get status updates on their citizenship enrollment status? I guess the fiance is a Canadian citizen, if that matters.
So if it's updates from USCIS, but when you submit paperwork to USCIS, either if it's online or in by paper, it just depends on the type of application, how fast the USCIS moves on it. If it's a green card application or a citizenship application, you generally get receipts pretty quickly within a few weeks. Or if you submitted like an I-130 online for that person, you would get a receipt like the same day. And then status updates, they don't send they will update, like if you're filing in an I-130 online or a naturalization application online, you can log in and look for updates, and those happen pretty quickly within a few weeks. And then sometimes it might pen for a few months with nothing. So it all just depends on the application that you're filing and how long USCIS, how long they take, which they're all over the place. And sometimes it's like for a citizenship application, it could be 6 months or less before you hear anything, and sometimes it could be more.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Um, I was a minor when my father became a naturalized citizen, and after his death 2 years later, I joined during hostile times and have been a LPR since 1991. How can I find out with you to see if I'm a citizen before I apply for citizenship? as a 100% service-connected disabled veteran?
You definitely want a consultation in this scenario. We'd have to get all those facts. We'd have to check the check the charts. There's a whole chart to see if someone derived citizenship as a minor, and it depends on, it depends on when the parent naturalized. It depends on your age, which law is going to apply for you. For instance, if it happened after, I believe, February 2001, the Child Citizenship Act might apply, but if it happened in the early 90s, it's a different law that applies. So you're going to want to reach out. If you're in San Diego County, you can call the intake line to get a consultation for this. If you're not in San Diego County, you can still call the intake line and they'll give you a list of local providers local to you, other legal aid organizations that you're going to want to do a consultation, because this is really fact specific and it's going to take some analysis to see whether or not you should go ahead and submit the citizenship application.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. Where does someone apply if they don't qualify for free services based on income?
If they don't qualify for maybe the waiver of the fee,
Mhm.
I mean, you could still apply by paper or online. And there's some instructions on the website that say where to send it and how to send in payment. Or you can apply online and just pay with a credit card if you don't believe you qualify for any of the fee waivers.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, so far, our last question. My name is Eric. I served in the Army in the 1980s. I have an honorable discharge. I also worked for the U.S. Postal Service for 35 years. I am retired and need legal help completing the N-400 form.
Yes, definitely call into the intake line, see if it's something legal aid can take, and if not, we're happy to provide legal aid or some other service referrals to services in your area, depending where you might be, who provide free or no cost services for this.
Okay. And that answers all of the questions that we have in the Q&A. Did anyone else have any questions? Feel free to pop them in the Q&A. Other than that, I would love to thank Isabel for her time and her great presentation. I would love to thank Secretary Sin, Sean Campbell, our MC, Alexis Moore, and our logistics team, Ricky Powell, and myself, for this occasion to help out everyone. Alexis, if you have any last remarks or
Yes, thank you, Ty, for assisting in Q&A, and thank you, Isabel, for the important work you and your team are doing to support our communities and families. Ty, if you don't mind bringing up the slide so that way we can share some contact information with everyone. There we go. And while we are waiting for that to get pulled up, as a reminder, this presentation provided a general overview of the process, but we do understand that every case is unique. So if you have questions specific to your situation, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to connect you with resources tailored to your needs. We can refer you to professionals like Isabel Duarte and other qualified providers who can help you start the process, and possibly receive that consultation you're looking for. And if you're not located in San Diego, that is absolutely fine. We have connections to trusted organizations throughout California, and we can help you find the support in your local areas. As we wrap up today's session, We want to thank each of you for joining us and for your engagement throughout the event. We hope you're leaving with new knowledge, a better understanding of resources available to you, and a reminder that you are not alone in navigating life as a service member, a veteran, or a military family member. Our CalVet partners, as you've seen today, our secretary, who's included my team, of course, and minorities and underrepresented, our CalTAP team, we are all here to support you every step of the way and provide these resources. This is our contact information. If you do have further questions, you can email us. We can be contacted via phone at 916-651-3054, or you can also visit our website, which shares more information of what Sean from our CalTAP division touched on. And that will be a wrap for today's Pathways to Citizenship. We thank you and hope you have a great week. Bye, everyone.